Welcome to the explainer. You know that moment when you're writing an email, you get to a sentence and you just stop. Is it the sun raises or is it the sun rises? Well, today we're going to put that little bit of doubt to rest for good. So let's just dive right in. Which one is it? This is one of those things that trips up pretty much everybody. But believe it or not, the fix isn't some crazy grammar lesson. It's actually a single, super simple secret that you can use every single time. And you know what the best part is? You can totally forget all those complicated rules you tried to memorize in school. The entire solution boils down to just one powerful idea. And here it is. That's the whole thing. The entire puzzle is unlocked by finding one simple thing, the direct object. All you got to do is ask one question. Is the verb doing something to something else? Okay, think of it like this. Raise is an action verb. It's like lifting or pushing. You can't just lift, right? You have to lift something. It needs a target. But rise is different. It's more like growing or just appearing. It doesn't need a target. It just kind of happens. So first up, let's meet raise. We're going to call this one the doer. Think of this verb as the one that's always busy, always doing something. It never just sits around. It always has to be acting on an object. Now, the official fancy grammar term is a transitive verb. But all that really means is that the action transfers from the subject over to something else. All you have to ask is, raise what? If your sentence has a clear answer to that question, you're using raise correctly. And you can see it right here in these examples. Raise always has a buddy, right? You raise your hand. They raise the flag. And the object doesn't have to be physical. It can be abstract too. A government raises taxes. A campaign raises awareness. But in every single case, the verb is doing something to a noun. And here's a nice little bonus for you. Raise is easy. It plays by the rules. It's what we call a regular verb. So its past tense is always that simple, predictable raised. No curveballs there. Okay, let's switch gears and meet the other side of the coin, rise. So if raise is our doer, then rise is the happener. This verb is a lot more chilled out. It just describes something that happens, all by itself. And the technical term for this one is intransitive, which basically just means the action starts and stops with the subject. It's like a self-contained event. Nothing else is getting acted upon. You see the pattern here? Let's try our question again. The sun rises, what? Well, there's no answer. The sun just rises. It's doing its own thing. And it's the same with the others. Prices are rising. He rose from his chair. Tensions rose. The action is happening, but it's not being done to anything. Now, this is the one little tricky part you gotta remember. Unlike its super predictable cousin, rise is an irregular verb. So you just have to kind of memorize its forms. Rise, rose, and risen. That's its only quirk. All right, this is my favorite part. This is where the rule really starts to click. Let's put these two verbs head to head in really similar sentences and just watch that direct object rule work its magic. This is just a perfect illustration of the difference. On the left, you've got a specific person, the manager, doing an action to the salaries. But on the right, salaries is the subject. It's just describing a general trend, something that happened, not a direct action someone took. And here's another fantastic example. When you raise your voice, that's a choice. You are the doer, and your voice is the object. But when your voice rises with emotion, well, that's an involuntary reaction, right? It just happens. It's a really small but powerful difference between control and instinct. Okay, so let's lock this in and make it second nature. We're going to look at some common phrases to kind of sharpen your gut feeling, and then, yep, it's pop quiz time. Let's test out your new skills. Looking at these phrases really helps build that intuition. You'll notice, with raise, you're always doing something to an object. You raise money, raise children, raise awareness. But with rise, you're the one moving. You rise to power, you rise to the occasion. See? The pattern holds up every single time. All right, quiz time. You'll hear this one all the time. He rose his hand. So, based on our one simple rule, what's wrong with this picture and how do you fix it? Exactly. It has to be raised because the action is being done to an object, in this case, his hand. Remember, rose can't have an object, so it just doesn't fit here. Okay, how about one more for the road? They raised early. Take a second, think about our rule. Where's the object? The correct verb is rose. And why? Well, because there's no direct object. They aren't raising something, they themselves are getting up. The action just stops with them. Okay, so let's boil this all down. After everything, what is the one single thing you need to remember to get this right every time from now on? It really just comes down to this. Before you write or say the word, just ask yourself, is something receiving an action? If there's a receiver, you need a form of raise. If there's no receiver and something is just happening by itself, you need a form of rise. It honestly is that simple. And there you have it. The whole raise versus rise mystery, it's officially solved. Now that you've got this down, let us know. What other confusing word pairs should we break down next?